For 25 years, Pokémon has captured the imaginations of people around the world. The games, the anime, the trading cards, and some truly out-there merchandise has seen Pokémon become the highest-grossing media franchise of all time, with a total revenue of more than $105 billion. Boasting almost 1,000 species of catchable critters, while the design of many Pokémon is fantasy-inspired, certain aspects of their origins can be found in very real animals. From carnivorous plants to the real-world Pikachu, here are the most awesome Pokémon you may just be able to catch in real life. As the very first Pokémon Ash caught in the wild, Caterpie holds a special place in every aficionado's heart, as well as in the heart of the Pokémon's creator, Satoshi Tajiri. In fact, the whole concept of Pokémon trainers traveling the world and collecting little monsters is inspired by Tajiri's childhood love for insect collection. Perhaps not the most sought-after Pokémon out there, Caterpie becomes more impressive when compared to his real-life counterpart, the Eastern Tiger Swallowtail Caterpillar. You really can't miss the similarities between these two, from their distinct green bodies to those unique bright orange antennas. The Eastern Tiger Swallowtail Caterpillar can be found in eastern North America and, like Caterpie, evolves, or more accurately, metamorphosizes, into a butterfly. Those distinct antennae on the swallowtail's head are known as an osmeterium, a fleshy orange organ that emits a foul-smelling substance made up of chemicals called terpenes to ward off potential predators when feeling threatened. And, interestingly enough, releasing an intense odor from its antennae during battle is one of Caterpie's specialties. While both the Pokémon and its real-world counterpart appear to possess large googly eyes, the Eastern Swallowtail's real eyes are actually the size of a pinpoint and are located closer to the mouth, while those big things we see are actually something known as false eye spots. These are a type of deceptive marking that can help protect the caterpillar from predators, who, interpreting the markings as the caterpillar's real eyes, assume the creature is actually something more deadly, like a snake. Another first-generation veteran Poliwag is a unique-looking Pokémon with a certain design choice much more significant than it initially seems. It may be pretty obvious that Poliwag is based on some kind of tadpole. Even the name itself is reminiscent of Pollywog, which is another name for the earliest stage in the life of an amphibian. But it's that swirl on Poliwag's stomach which, paired with those great big puppy dog eyes, not only makes it one of the cutest Pokémon out there, but also the most intriguing. Turns out, that cute little swirl has a surprisingly gross backstory, and when you find out what it actually represents, you'll never be able to look at this little guy the same again. Poliwag is, in fact, based on the real-life glass frog tadpole, which gets its name from its transparent body through which you can see its internal organs. So Poliwag's swirl is actually meant to be the tadpole's neatly coiled intestines. Thought to be a form of camouflage, the see-through nature of the glass frog tadpole is pretty gross, and gives that hypnotic Pokémon a whole new level of weird. Even the weakest, most unassuming Pokémon can have an interesting origin story to tell. Luvdisc, for example, is often overlooked, as most Poké hunters aren't too keen on adding it to their team due to its low-level stats and the fact that it never evolves. Even so, being pink and heart-shaped with prominent pursed lips, this water type has an undeniable connection with a very real species of fish known as the kissing gourami. In the Pokémon universe, it's said that finding a Luvdisc will bless a couple with eternal love, but its real-life counterpart is slightly less lovey-dovey. Unlike their Poké counterparts, these fishy fiends don't kiss each other to show affection, but actually do it as a means of aggression. Not ones for any kind of romance, these big lips are not soft and pillowy like you might expect, but are actually covered with tiny teeth. In fact, kissing gourami often bump off other fish by scraping mucus off their bodies with these teeth and eating it, sealing their fate with a kiss of death that exposes the victim's skin to infection. Yeah, that's sure to kill any kind of romantic mood. From sea to sky now, it looks as though love was still in the air during the creation of this next Pokémon, who makes a perfect pair with a real-life lovebird. Chatot is an avian Pokémon with a head resembling a musical eighth note and a tail that looks like a metronome. But it's the flying type's brightly colored plumage that connects it to a real-life bird. Its multicolored appearance, including green, black, and yellow feathers and a pink hooked beak, is undeniably similar to that of the yellow-collared lovebird that can be found in Eastern African countries such as Tanzania and Kenya. These beautiful birds are a part of the parrot family and, like Chatot, have the ability to mimic speech.
Pretty bird. Pinky, pinky. Pinky bird.
Like Pokémon, lovebirds are used for human companionship and are popular pets, though it's recommended to keep these lovers in pairs, hence their name. From deep love to the deep ocean now, the sea floor is home to a plethora of weird and wonderful-looking creatures that are perfect for Pokémon inspiration. This deep-sea phantom is the long-nosed chimera. Also known as ghost sharks, these eerie entities can be found in deep, temperate, and tropical waters worldwide, and are distant deep-sea cousins to the likes of sharks and stingrays. It might surprise you to find out that this spooky spectacle was the inspiration for one of the cuter types of Pokémon out there, Gorbis. Long-nosed chimeras live at abyssal depths of more than 3,000 feet, and, like Gorbis, can withstand the extremely high pressure levels found in those oceanic depths. The main resemblances in appearances in this case are the wide-eyed expression complete with fins and an extra long snout. But don't be fooled by those innocent-looking cutesy eyes, as the chimera's conical nose is actually filled with sensory nerve endings that are used to hunt down prey before crushing them with 3 rows of teeth. I guess that's one way to catch 'em all. Some sea creatures are so fantastical that Pokémon creators just had to bring them onto dry land. Worshipped as the master of time, Dialga was introduced into the series in the Diamond and Pearl editions and is one of the few Dragon Steel-type Pokémon in the series. While it's fair to assume this legendary Pokémon's design was partially influenced by mythical creatures and dinosaurs, it actually has some similarities with a real-life dragon that can be found in our world. The Glaucus atlanticus, also known as the blue sea dragon, is a species of small blue sea slug that can be found throughout the world's oceans, though most often in tropical waters. The physical similarities between the two are undeniable, down to the spiked points on their bodies, long tails, and of course, the striking blue, white, and gray coloring. Unlike Dialga, however, the blue sea dragon relies on the winds and ocean currents to carry them along, and only grow to a measly 1.2 inches in length, compared with Dialga's colossal 17 feet. Perhaps even more similar looking to the blue sea dragon is Kyogre, a legendary water-type Pokémon with a capacity for primal reversion. Introduced in Pokémon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, primal reversion is a process that reverts a Pokémon back into its ancient original form, where it regains the true ultimate power it once had. After undergoing primal reversion, Kyogre not only exhibits the blue sea dragon's aquatic coloring, but also shares circular markings along with a more similar elongated tail. Anyone else really want one of these little water-dwelling guys all of a sudden? Let me know in the comments, and while you're there, make a splash by hitting those like and subscribe buttons so you can make sure that when it comes to my videos, you can always catch 'em all. Now, if you're all dried off, let's move further inland to visit a Pokémon that could easily fit into our real world. Covered in brown fur and with a stature that towers above many other Pokémon, Ursaring clearly resembles the bears of our world. Though while its coloration hints at the infamous grizzly bear, certain other features actually more closely resemble the sun bear and the moon bear, which are both found in Asia. Most bears have the ability to raise themselves up on their hind legs, but amazingly, the moon bear has been known to walk over 1/4 of a mile on 2 legs, just like Ursaring can. Both Ursaring and moon bears are also described as excellent climbers and share a range of features which aid this activity: a powerful upper body, long arms, and long hooked front claws. Ursaring's peculiar shoulder frills, meanwhile, are pretty unique, though are likely to have been inspired by the moon bear's extremely fluffy neck and shoulder region. Ursaring's tan-colored ring pattern, meanwhile, closely resembles that of the sun bear, though moon bears are also known to sport an impressive crest of their own. To many superfans, the thought of encountering a real-life Pokémon would be nothing short of a dream come true, and resemblances don't get much closer than this real-world equivalent of Drowsy known as the Asian tapir. Found throughout the tropical lowland rainforests of Southeast Asia, the Asian tapir, like Drowsy, sports a two-toned body resembling that of a pig that it uses to help camouflage itself in moonlit forests. Both also have a distinctive long snout which is prehensile, meaning that it can be used to pick things up and can also be used as a snorkel when navigating through water. Despite their physical similarities, tapirs do not eat people's dreams as Drowsy does. Instead, that odd characteristic is based on the Japanese myth of the Baku. Baku are supernatural beings with similarly trunk-like noses that, according to Japanese folklore, were created from the spare pieces left over when the gods finished creating all the other animals. Like Drowsy, Baku are said to possess the ability to put people to sleep as well as feed upon their dreams, often through their nose. I only hope for Drowsy's sake that he hibernates during flu season. From snorkel noses to shells now, Torterra is an enormous grass-type titan, and it doesn't take a genius to realize it's based on some kind of turtle. But while many turtles and tortoises can be seen sporting a layer of green plant life on their shells, Torterra's fantastical design was likely inspired by a large species of freshwater turtle known as the Mary River turtle. This distinctive creature is, as the name suggests, endemic to the Mary River in Queensland, Australia, and has evolved some pretty special abilities in its time, including being able to breathe underwater through gill-like organs within its private parts, enabling it to remain submerged for up to 72 hours. What really sets this living Chia pet apart is the wad of green hair they're often spotted with, which is actually spots of algae that naturally grow all over its head and shell. It might not be quite as impressive as Torterra's shell's personal tree, but I'd still say the Mary River turtle has a certain swagger, even if it does look somewhat like an aging rock star. This next Pokémon isn't the prettiest, but its real-world counterpart is so peculiar you'd think it'd belong more in a video game universe than our own. Stunfisk is a flat fish-like Pokémon that camouflages itself in muddy waters by the seashore, and whenever prey touches it, Stunfisk zaps them with an electric shock. In the waters of our world, meanwhile, there dwells a type of saltwater fish known as a stargazer that has, bizarrely, evolved to keep its eyes and mouth directly on top of its head. This nightmarish sea dweller uses its topside eyes not to stargaze, but to get a good view of prey while it buries itself under the sand and awaits the chance to ambush with powerful, sharp-tooth-lined jaws and venomous spikes along its back. Even stranger, just like Stunfisk, certain species of stargazers possess the ability to create electrical currents from a specialized organ located behind the eyes that's used to deliver some pretty nasty electric shocks to anyone that gets too close. Not only that, but the stargazer fish has another shocking ability, in that it's able to expel its worm-shaped tongue to attract passing prey towards a venomous electrical demise. Silent but deadly, this fish is seriously terrifying. But as you'll see in our next real-world Pokémon, it's not the only one setting traps that even put Pokéballs to shame. Typically, most plants can't do a lot to help being at the mercy of the animal kingdom, but not the inspiration for one fly-catching Pokémon who found its own way to bite back. Literally. Victory Bell is based on pitcher plants, a flora family that capture their prey with their long, conical-shaped maws, known as pitfall traps. The rim around both the pitcher plant and Victory Bell are brightly colored and lined with a sweet yet intoxicating nectar, which serves to attract doomed insects, as well as the occasional small mammal. While feeding on the nectar, the pitcher plant's prey struggles to keep a grip, and inevitably falls down into a deep chamber with a pool of flesh-dissolving enzymes waiting at the bottom, surrounded by walls that are too waxy to crawl up out of. With no way out, the prey is slowly, horrifically digested, whether still alive, drowned, or otherwise. While it might seem strange for a plant to be carnivorous, it actually comes down to a matter of evolution. Most carnivorous plants, including the infamous Venus flytrap, evolved their taste for meat due to living in soils lacking nitrogen, which is a key ingredient plants need to make proteins. When digested, their prey provides this much-needed resource, making pitcher plants and their poke equivalents a particularly unnerving example of adapting to the environment. Moving on to another Pokémon whose origins are rooted in plant life now. According to the Pokédex, Vileplume's petals are the largest in the world of Pokémon. The same can be said for the real-world Rafflesia arnoldi, more commonly known by the charming name of the Stinking Corpse Lily, which can grow to a whopping 40 inches in diameter. Despite visual similarities between this enormous plant and its Pokémon counterpart, namely their large, colorful, textured petals, there are some subtle differences between these two. Vileplume is a grass poison type which uses its highly toxic pollen to paralyze its prey, but the corpse lily is by no means a toxic flower. It merely smells like it is. The real-world flower's foul stench reportedly smells like rotting meat, which serves to attract nearby pollinators. Vileplume's toxic attributes are actually more akin to toxins found in the nectar of rhododendron flowers, which can cause full-body paralysis when ingested in large amounts. All in all, though, it's probably best to avoid eating unfamiliar flowers, whether they smell like rotten flesh or not. From ugly odors to even uglier oddities now, there are some animals out there that arguably look even stranger than any known Pokémon. This is the red-lipped batfish, found around the Galapagos Islands, which looks a little like someone's angry aunt. Despite being a fish, this critter isn't all that great a swimmer, and instead walks along the sea bottom on his leg-like fins. While not noted as the official inspiration for any Pokémon out there, its oddly angular head and front-ended limbs certainly bear a passing resemblance to Dreepy. This dragon ghost Pokémon may not live underwater, but its amphibian-like characteristics still make it a pretty close match to the red-lipped batfish. And while the red-lipped batfish fails at what most fish do best, so too does Dreepy compared with many of its Pokémon peers. According to official Pokémon lore, when it comes to combat, Dreepy is such a weak species that even children can defeat it with ease.
He needs some milk!
Staying on the topic of real-world animals that look even stranger than fiction, meet the axolotl, the real-world doppelganger for Wooper. Axolotls are increasingly common pets in many parts of the world, but they aren't exactly your standard aquarium dwellers. Part of the salamander family, wild axolotls live exclusively in the swampy remnants of Mexico's Lake Xochimilco and are most certainly among the oddest-looking creatures on Earth, making them a natural choice for Pokémon inspiration. These alien-looking creatures have some very unusual traits, most notably their branching gills and the fact that they never physically mature and remain visually almost identical to their baby forms for their whole lives. That is, unless they find themselves in some bizarrely specific circumstances. In 1863, those circumstances were uncovered when a French zoologist named Auguste de Merle received a shipment of axolotls sent from from Mexico. Upon opening the box, to his surprise, he found that the shipment contained not axolotls, but what looked to be adult salamanders. The shipment was confirmed to have initially contained axolotls, and after years of studies to resolve this peculiar incident, it was discovered that axolotls can undergo a process of metamorphosis when they ingest iodine. Iodine is usually only encountered by axolotls when they cannibalize another of their own species, which can trigger a metamorphosis into a bigger, stronger form of axolotl in one of the strangest glow-ups in the animal kingdom. Whooper, however, doesn't appear to share these strange traits beyond the branching gills on its head, which is probably for the best. After all, kids playing the game might be a little disturbed to find out that they can level up and evolve their cute little Poke friend by feeding it its fellow brethren. Instead, we can take comfort in the fact that Whooper, particularly the rare shiny pink version, is just an adorable, simplified homage to this strange real-world creature. For the average Pokemon trainer, it's inevitable to encounter 1, 10, or 100 Magikarp while on the prowl for more desirable Pokemon. Often described as the world's weakest Pokemon thanks to its useless splash ability, this water type's real-world twin is the highly sought-after Yellow-Eye Rockfish. One of the longest living fish species, the Yellow-Eye Rockfish has been known to live up to the ripe old age of 150 and can be found all along the East Pacific Ocean in deeper rocky-bottomed areas. Like Magikarp, the Yellow-Eye Rockfish sports fluorescent orange scales and spiky fins, not to mention those big, dead-looking eyes that stare straight into your soul. Magikarp's design and abilities are also inspired by Asian carps, which are, like the Pokémon, easily frightened by disturbances in the water and can occasionally be seen jumping up to 10 feet in the air when startled. Despite their scaredy-cat nature, carp have had royal connections throughout history, and many Japanese emperors kept ornamental carp in their palace ponds. In fact, the popular koi carp were specifically bred in the 1800s to produce the most decorative fish possible for the royal gardens, becoming synonymous with prestige across Japan in the process. Aside from Magikarp's golden crown-shaped dorsal fin, however, it's not exactly the king of Pokémon. At least, not until it evolves. Indeed, it's hard to believe that a Pokémon as lowly as Magikarp could evolve into one of the most powerful, the 21-foot-long Gyarados, shown here in all its red, shiny version glory. But could this majestic dragon ever have a real-world counterpart? Well, this image, which appears to showcase a real-life shiny Gyarados swimming ominously alongside a fisherman's boat in Wisconsin, seems to suggest so, and made quite the splash when it appeared online in 2016. Unfortunately, though, the original poster soon revealed that they'd shared the picture with Facebook friends as a joke after editing its colors, saying that what can be seen in the image is, in fact, a giant sturgeon fish that was spotted in Lake Winnebago. Despite the edited red coloring, the pictured animal itself, along with its mammoth size and primitive characteristics, can indeed be found in the real world. Sturgeons are among the largest species of fish and can grow up to a staggering 18 feet and 4,000 pounds. While they certainly share Gyarados' intimidating size and strength, the Pokémon's serpentine body and natural blue coloration more closely resembles the oarfish, the longest known bony fish alive, measuring in at as long as 36 feet. These rarely seen giants are known to dwell as deep as 3,300 feet below the world's tropical and subtropical oceans. And past encounters with these creatures likely contributed to historic myths of sea serpents, which indirectly may have helped inspire the sea serpent dragon-like design of Gyarados. Moving from one of the most powerful to the most iconic and sought-after Pokémon of all time now, Pikachu is instantly recognizable even to the uninitiated. However, not many people know that Pikachu's name roughly and hilariously translates to sparkle mouse noise in Japanese. To break it down, we have Pika Pika, that's an onomatopoeia for sparkle, and Choo Choo, which is the Japanese representation of the sound of a mouse squeaking. The name may also pay homage to the word peekaboo, or even the animal Pika, a rabbit-like creature with vaguely similar proportions to Pikachu. Who knew that cute, iconic Pokémon's name was so sophisticated? While there aren't any mice or Pikas in our world that really look like Pikachu, there is another cute critter that does. Check it out. No, that's not Photoshop. It's a rare type of common brush-tailed possum, a nocturnal marsupial found in Australia and New Zealand. This little cutie was found lying on the side of the road near Melbourne in 2018 and is believed to have possibly fallen off her mother's back before being rescued. The possum, aptly named Pikachu by the shelter it was residing in at the time, found internet fame at just 5 months old, thanks to her unique golden fur and long pointed ears that made her look just like everyone's favorite Pokémon character. Most brush-tailed possums are gray in color, but little possum Pikachu's bright yellow fur is the result of a genetic mutation causing a lack of melanin, the same pigment responsible for dark eyes, hair, and skin in humans and animals alike. Although her brightly colored fur makes this real-world Pikachu adorable, it also means that she'd be way more visible to predators in the wild. And sadly, cuteness doesn't count for much to a hungry passing snake in the Australian outback. If you ask me, I'd say we keep this real-world Pokémon safe and happy by giving her the leading role in the next Detective Pikachu movie. Do you know of any real-life animals that are dead ringers for Pokémon? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.